I have some of the biggest snakes. People have a misunderstanding about snakes.
When you're a successful NBA player who rakes in points, wins rings for your team, you can expect that your franchise will pay you back handsomely. While it's perfectly fine to splurge on mansions and cars when you're that rich, some NBA players just don't seem to know where to spend the rest of their millions. So, over the years, they've made some questionably dumb purchases that they're not proud of. So today, let's take a look at some of the most expensive but dumbest purchases from NBA players. But first, a simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's all your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. First is Ben Simmons with his kangaroo chain and a pair of wild savanna cats. Weird combination, I know, but Ben seems to really be fond of wild animals. He first donned the large kangaroo chain at a Sixers playoff game to pay homage to his Australian roots. Even though he still wears it to this day, he just doesn't like talking about how much he spent on the shiny bling. Still, he's very vocal about another bad purchase he made not too long ago. For a grand total of 10 grand, he got himself 2 Savannah cats, who were admittedly really cute, but were not made to survive a domestic setup. The 2 cats would claw and scratch at whoever came near them, even if they were being fed. Imagine spending $10,000 on cats you can't even cuddle. Joe Johnson and a separate room for his sneakers. It's like, okay, we get it, you're a basketball pro who has quite the shoe collection. But really, a separate room to house it all? It's kind of excessive, especially when you realize that Johnson even made a bed installed inside his sneaker room for when he wants to take a nap surrounded by all his shoes. Each and every shelf and compartment of his floor-to-ceiling shoe shelf has also been professionally lit, and the entire room is set to maintain a specific temperature for maximum shoe preservation. It's almost like a museum, except we really can't drop by for a visit. In fact, only JJ can enter the room since it's equipped with a fingerprint security system. Jerome Williams and his personalized mascot. We get it, everybody loves the original junkyard dog. Pardon me, JYD 2.0 DeMar Carroll. But does anyone in this world really need a personalized mascot that symbolizes himself? Well, at one point in his life, Jerome Williams thought it would be cool to have his own mascot to follow him wherever he goes. This is like the rich guy equivalent of keeping cardboard cutouts of yourself. It's cringy, superfluous, and just a wee bit creepy. But here's the amazing thing about Williams' junkyard dog mascot. It made lots of appearances in schools and hospitals, bringing unexpected good vibes to young children and sick folks. I guess in the grand scheme of things, this makes the mascot a very good dog. Scottie Pippen and his private jet. I know it's not news that rich people like to have their own private means to fly, but here's what makes Scottie's private jet a really bad purchase. First of all, it cost him $3.4 million. That's an entire fortune, especially for Pippen, who wasted all his years getting pay cuts and measly deals with the Bulls. He must have been proud of himself for affording one, but unfortunately, he forgot to take into account the full cost of running the aircraft, as well as maintaining and even storing it. Just the jet fuel would have set him back thousands of dollars every flight. Since he didn't have that kind of money after buying such an expensive aircraft, his own private jet never actually left the ground. What an absolute embarrassing waste. Dwight Howard and his snake and fish condo. Unusual pets are no longer a novelty among NBA players, but we're going out on a limb to say Dwight Howard keeping 20 snakes in his home would still shock anyone visiting his house for the first time. Depending on the snake, each one can easily cost somewhere between $300 and $600. But the real crazy purchase here is the professionally designed tank and fish condo he had made for his beloved pets. The Bleacher Report says the NBA star spent no less than $70,000 for this masterpiece. But of course, this dolting dad just wants the best for Mickey and Minnie, 2 red-tailed boa constrictors, and the rest of the clan, which has grown in number for the past many years. His fish collection also includes South American cichlids, including Oscars and blood parrots. You know what? Dwight actually doesn't seem too embarrassed about the $70,000 pet condo. And we're not surprised. Gilbert Arenas and his shark tank. If you thought Dwight Howard's pet corner was sleek enough, then you should know that Gilbert Arenas keeps sharks right in his home. To do this, he had to shell out ridiculous amounts of money in maintaining a shark tank. He doesn't like talking about this since it reveals just how lavish his life is, but sources say he had to pay $1 million just to have the huge tank installed. To keep the sharks happy, he also had to shell out $5,000 a month to feed them. Add that on top of the salary he had to pay his shark caretaker, and you can get a pretty clear picture of how much it would cost you to keep sharks at home. That's even if you want to do it. DESHAWN STEVENSON and his home ATM. Did I just say home ATM? Yep, that's exactly what it sounds like. DESHAWN STEVENSON hated driving to the gas station to withdraw money. So much so that he just had one installed beside his breakfast counter. This is literally like the biggest flex of all time, but it's also pretty crazy, which is why the player is not that proud of it. Imagine your friends driving to your house and you think they want to hang out, but in reality they just want to withdraw some cash. According to TMZ, DESHAWN wrote a $3,500 check to have the fixture installed in his house. Of course, workers of the bank come by a few times a year to refill the thing, with $20,000 in bills. Stephen Curry's expensive mouthpiece toss. We all know the story of how a fan once asked Stephen Curry for his mouthguard, and he obliged. Well, that mouthpiece is currently being tossed around in auctions, and last we heard, it was selling for $25,000. Quite expensive, isn't it? But did you know that Steph Curry himself once paid $50,000 for throwing his mouthpiece at a referee? This is still considered one of the most expensive and ridiculous fines an NBA player had to shell out for a small outburst that never hurt anyone. Worse, Curry couldn't even get his mouthguard back, so he basically just paid $50,000 to lose his mouthpiece. Robert Swift and all the wrong things. For most of his life, Robert Swift spent his hard-earned money on things he couldn't even speak publicly about. Why? Because they're illegal. Swift spent his money so irresponsibly that he was once declared officially bankrupt. And when his house was foreclosed, authorities found countless beer bottles, as well as unlicensed firearms and ammunition. It didn't take long for him to get arrested for attempted home invasion. This is more tragic than ridiculous, and we wonder if Swift ever got enough help at the time. No wonder he doesn't talk about where he brings his money. LATRELL SPREWELL and his yacht. There's a very good reason why this player was nicknamed Spree. After making over $100 million from his NBA stint, he splurged on a private yacht, which cost him $1.5 million. It would have been fine if this was the only big and dumb purchase he made, but he got so addicted to spending that eventually his seemingly endless fortune started running out. Like Swift, LATRELL eventually went bankrupt, and US Marshals had to seize his $1.5 million yacht. Marquise Daniels and his head-shaped diamond pendant. It's not unusual for NBA players to have large, shiny blings, but it's a whole different story if you have a custom bling made to look like you. Of course, Marquise Daniels is no ordinary player. He started out undrafted and unwanted, but he emerged from the quagmire as one of the best come-from-the-bench players in the league. This may be why he got so proud of himself that he asked a jeweler to make a 3D diamond-studded pendant of his own head. Kinda weird if you think about it. Would you hang a replica on your own face just a few inches below the original? Daniels really should have just shored some of his money for retirement. Al Jefferson and his super king-sized bed. Okay, there's nothing wrong about getting a better bed when you have the money for it, as long as it helps you sleep better at night, right? But would you ever spend $23,000 for one? That just seems imprudent, right? Apparently, Al Jefferson doesn't think so. He spent all that money to have a custom-made bed that's 10 by 12 feet. It really made all 6 feet and 10 inches of him look miniature in comparison. So unless he plans to sleep on this thing with his whole team, it's really just excessive. Jarrett Jack and his 1,500 sneakers. If you've never heard of Jarrett Jack, don't feel bad. It's not like he was ever such a big NBA superstar, despite being in the league for a very, very long time. Despite this, he was somehow able to buy himself 1,500 pairs of sneakers. Even if he wore a unique pair every day, even if he's just at home, it would still take Jack more than 4 years to wear all of these. And even then, wearing a pair of expensive shoes just one time is still not justified. Unless you're a multi-billionaire, which Jarrett is not. Shaquille O'Neal and the fish tanks in his car. Shaq may be one of the smartest players on court, but he's done some questionable things in his private life that we still can't forget to this day. For one, he installed aquariums in his fully customized car. Because of his size, Shaq just couldn't fit comfortably in any ready-made car at the time, so he had to fuse 2 cars into one. One of the last touches he made before driving his custom car is to install a see-through fish tank in it. Why is this a bad idea? Well, Shaq enjoyed blasting loud music when he's driving. So what do you know? Within minutes, all the fish in his car aquarium died. But don't mention this to Shaq. He's still sensitive about it. Finally, at number 15, we have Danny Granger, who's just the league's most dedicated Batman fan. He loved the superhero dude so much that he hired a contractor to build him his own Batcave. It was supposed to have a moat and all, but Granger feels pretty embarrassed about spending all that money on this structure, since he was eventually stopped from completing it. This is the reason why NBA players are some of the most loaded and decorated athletes in the world.